Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Radio FreakJam.
And good evening, it's Monday night, I think. And we're here with another Radio FreakJam Unsigned special. And we're talking to Max. He's over there. I got it right, Max. I did. Look, I got it. He's over there, look.
Everyone so welcome. You are...
Yeah. We were having problems. We were having problems getting this the right way around earlier when we were chatting before the show. Max, how you doing, sir?
Good to see you. Good, excellent. Yeah, so, really good. I just got an invite, right? I just got a YouTube invite to watch this week's FreakJam Unsigned session.
Aren't we lovely?
Very nice. So, because I follow it, so it's...
Well, that's nice to know people are following, and people are getting the messages out there now as well. That's a good start. We do all the social media, Facebook and Twitter. But, so you and I have never properly met, unfortunately. And it's taken a pandemic to push us together.
Yeah. Right.
But you know Nick Andrew, you know Rob McGregor, and a lot of the people that sort of we share as friends. So shout out to those guys for, pushing us together like this.
Well, hi Nick, hi Rob, hi everyone I know and I don't know in the UK. And in German, hallo an alle meine Freunde und Familie, die aus Deutschland zuschauen.
9.
Because we sent some links to friends and family here, so that
my German is shocking. I have problems with German. I learnt to count. I'm 5, 6, and that's as far as I could get. I got stuck on 6. That's how it works. I was a young lad.
And we're supposed to say Zex apparently, because then that's what I learnt in the local school. Evening school classes, Zex, make it a little bit like a Z, and then it doesn't sound the same as sex.
You see, I wasn't taught that as a kid. That's where they went wrong.
Right. Yeah.
So let's talk about music. I mean, to start with, my experience of music with you is on the Splendid Isolation track. You very kindly put some piano organ down and some synths down for us, which was a lot of fun. But you came on the show as well. You played live for us. You played a couple of tunes, and we've played your band Fragile on the radio station as well.
Absolutely.
So let's, you have given me a list of videos and a chronological order. So I don't want to sort of start talking and get out of that order. So let's start there.
Yeah, right.
One of my favourite
it's a good idea, isn't it?
Pieces.
Keep in the order. Yeah. Then I know what. Yeah, I mean, I've been playing in bands since 81 and became a pro in 93. At the time I was went professional in 93. What I did was set up a studio with the help, and I had funding from the Princess Youth Business Trust at that time to actually buy some equipment, set up a studio in my house at that time. And I was doing about sort of between 4 and 6 gigs a week, but that was in the time of lots of duos in pubs. There were hundreds of gigs you could get just with backing tracks in a duo, and that's what I was doing basically.
Played a few of them myself.
Well, it was good money, and there was loads of gigs around. That's the thing, So yeah, but good money because there were so many gigs, So. Yeah, anyway, but that's good. And then I ended up getting involved in tribute bands from about 2001 onwards. Fragile was the first tribute band I joined in 2001. Was a Yes tribute band. And what we had actually supported Fragile at a prog rock show up in Rotherham in Yorkshire the year before I joined them. So that's where I met them the first time. But then in 2005, we were contacted directly by Steve Howe, the guitarist of Yes. who got in touch with us through the woman that ran his UK fan club.
Wow.
Who was also a fan of us. Yeah. So yes hadn't been touring for a few years, and he heard that we were doing a show at the Robin in Bilston in the West Midlands, and asked if he could come and play with us, which was really weird. But that's literally how it sort of worked out, you know. And overnight, I think they put the ticket prices slightly up, and but you know, they sold out really quickly, and it's like a 700 capacity club. We sold it out and had a big queue outside that couldn't get in, because it was all done at very short notice. I think it was only something like 10 days notice that it was announced Steve was doing it with us. So yeah, that was good. And that's when sort of various interesting doors started opening, you know. It's really interesting.
So we got loads of people in the chat. Have you signed on to YouTube?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we got Tim out there, we got Rich out there, we got Dice, Steve Jones. So they're all sort of saying hello and bits and pieces.
Hello.
So let's talk about the first video.
It's really. Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
We've got a bit of delay going on here. I'm just going to try and sort this delay out, so it's easier for both of us to talk. Yeah, it's because we're far away. We've got seas and stuff between us.
Exactly.
But you know, we can try and make it better. It's all good. And how's that? Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bit of delay. Well, it's fine. I can hear you, and you know, it's fine because we seem to be talking fine, don't we? You know,
we do now. It's good. Okay, good, I was just getting a bit of a delay back on there, but well, it's technical issues. Let's not worry about those. So, video one, Toccata and Fugue in D minor.
Video one, I called it Toccato and Fugini in D minor, because it's quite different to Bach's original Toccata and Fugue.
Just a little bit.
There's a lot of improvisation in it. So, but I mean, basically, I started playing that with a band called Tantalus is another video you'll play a bit later, I think. I started playing it with Tantalus in the late 90s, mid and late 90s, and we recorded actually a couple of versions of it with Tantalus. But I decided I was doing some solo gigs actually in around 96, 97. I was living down in North Cornwall at that time, so what I was doing was working up country on weekends and then travelling back to Cornwall in the weeks. And I put together like an album of instrumental stuff that I just put on, sold on cassette, you know?
Yep.
Copied onto cassette at that time. Nice. I think I was still using my reel-to-reel recorder at the time, and I was mastering to DAT and then copying from DAT onto cassette tapes, you know. It was
good old days.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it. This is one of the tracks that was from that cassette that I was selling in 97 at solo gigs.
Wow. Okay.
What I've done now, I found the best bits of all those recordings and put it together as a digital album that I've got on the Bandcamp now.
So this is straight off the DAT, yeah?
Yeah, originally, yeah.
Wow, it sounds great. I mean, I listened to this earlier, and just coming from that sort of time off DAT, it sounds amazing. So let's have a listen to this.
It does, yeah.
They're going to love
this.
It's
been remastered, so...
Wicked. Let's give them a play. They're going to like this.
Cool.
I do. There we go. Man.
I've forgotten about the cannon at the end. not the musical cannon. Not the musical cannon.
Cannon keyboard.
Like
or the actual banging cannon.
No, the actual big cannon gun, at the end.
Man, it's a really, really great interpretation of that piece. I do love that piece.
Oh, thanks,
and,
Ian.
it just it grooves, it grinds, it's dirty, it's
it
horror.
does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
all the way I like
When we
it.
played it with Tantalus, we used to put the "Really Got Me" riff from the Kinks,
Right.
behind it. You know, it fits.
I can hear that actually now.
It does.
Tim in the chat room said it reminds him of Sky, and I think you mentioned Sky when we were chatting before the show.
Yeah, I think actually Sky's version of it is the first time I ever heard it. I think.
Right.
And then, I mean, obviously, I learned classical piano when I was a kid, you know, but I never played it and I had never heard it. But then later, I heard various classical recordings, you know.
You see,
So,
I wish I'd
cool.
learnt classical piano as a kid. My mum and dad said to me, "Would you like to learn an instrument or something like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to learn the drums. I want to learn the sax. I want to learn the cello."
Yeah.
And they bought me a keyboard and a pair of headphones. I couldn't work it out at the time. But my first ever gig was as a keyboard player at school. So I was into sort of things
Excellent.
like...
During my
Vangelis.
first ever gig.
Yeah,
What,
Vangelis and
Chariots of
Jean-Michel
Fire?
Jarre and that sort of stuff I was into. So
Yeah. Nice one. Yeah, good. Yeah. Vangelis is one of my all-time heroes, really.
I can imagine.
Absolutely love Vangelis. Yeah.
Not so much as Jean-Michel Jarre fan?
Not so much. I like the Oxygen, you know, the original Oxygen. Yeah. Wasn't so keen on the later stuff, basically, you know. So, yeah.
So
live at night at a gig. I'm seeing the chat thing now. Thanks, Guy. I'll play it on the piano. You can't see my hands, can you? That's the problem.
No.
So,
you could be playing a recording for all we know. So,
exactly.
right, okay. Let's move on.
Can I just quickly tell you, the church in that video, the organ in that video, is in a church that's about a half an hour drive from my house here in Erbach in Germany.
So that's a proper...
And it's amazing. It's one of the best examples of religious Rococo decor, which is late Baroque decoration, you know. And that organ, it's called the Sturmorgel, it's got over 7,200 pipes. And apparently, Johann Sebastian Bach himself played it in the 1700s.
Wow.
So
How
I
did
had
you
to
get
put,
to record
it's
it?
local. No, I recorded it on, in '97
Right.
on whatever keyboard I had at the time. But I had to use pictures of that local church for the connection, you know. So,
Yeah. I love little links of history and stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
exactly. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Did you ever plan to be half an hour up the road from there, or was that just totally coincidence?
No. Well, we were, when we moved here, we were looking for somewhere near Galinda's family,
Right.
which they are, which is good. So,
And it just so happens Johann
we sort of-
Sebastian Bach played up the road.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, about 300. I'm about 400 years too late, I think. So,
You see yourself more as a Renaissance man, do you, Max?
well, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
I mean,
Maybe I would have done
Nick
better.
Andrew tells me when you're not working as a keyboard player, you're a Brian May tribute man. You're a stunt double.
Exactly. Well, but no, everywhere. When my hair was not quite as long as it is now, everywhere it was more sort of bouncy and curly. So everywhere I went, I got called Brian May. Everywhere. And I was thinner as well. I was much more skinny. You know, so it was,
Weren't we all, mate? Especially before lockdown.
yeah. Well, it's weird. Some people have lost, haven't they? And some people like me have gained, you know.
Well, in my opinion, if you haven't come out of this fatter and more of an alcoholic than you were before, you've done it wrong.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. Yeah, it's good, really good to know that someone is as caring as you. You know, it's good.
You've obviously been going out too much, and you haven't been staying in enough. That's why we were eating and drinking more, right?
No.
You've
well, I think the first 2 months, we didn't go anywhere at all. You know, but as soon as the beer gardens opened, with distancing and masks and stuff, we said, look, we can't do anything else, so we'll just go to the beer gardens as often as we can, you know. So,
and obviously, that's a German essential out there, isn't it? It's not just it's an essential.
It's a big part of culture here.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Right. Let's
I'm glad
Dr.
you did it
Syntax's head.
Oh yeah.
On Dr. Syntax's head. It's a very strange title. I haven't had the chance to watch this full through yet. What were you in for?
Dr. Syntax's head is the name of the most westerly rock outcrop at Land's End in Cornwall.
Right.
It's called Dr. Syntax's head. I think I was there with the bass player, Jason, the bass player. I think we visited it or something like that, and decided to write a song. So we put loads of radio static in it and a shipping forecast, which because of copyright, what I did was got a script for a shipping forecast, read it, put it through some real serious EQ, and then reversed the waveform. So it was a backwards shipping forecast that I had read from a script with lots of radio interference.
Nice.
Very musical.
I like things like that, little bits of, I call them ear candy. You can lay down a few tracks and make some music, but it's those little production techniques which, can give the song...
Oh, they add to things, don't they? Yeah. They add real special little things,
drama or a bit of something. So let's have a look at this and we'll talk about a bit more afterwards. So this is on Dr. Syntax's Head by Max himself.
Standing on the furthest point, facing the lazy black sea. The sun is out, but I am cold. Something else is here. Strange names spat out by the waves, faces in the static.
There we go. Tantalus there with on Dr. Syntax's head. Fantastic stuff, man. Really, really like that.
That's great, isn't it?
It
Very
is.
sort of weird chords and things, yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big prog fan myself, but I mean, yours is slightly different to a lot of the stuff that I've listened to. There's a bit more of something to
Good.
it that
I'm
appeals.
glad to hear it.
Don't get me wrong, I
Yeah,
think there's a lot of time for prog.
No.
It's just not my main go-to. Do you know what I mean?
No. Well, it's funny, really. I mean, it's only one thing that of many that I'm really into, you know. So
Yeah. And
I think most of the things I've done are quite different. Yeah.
beauty of the music is that there's many different things we can fall in love with for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing, you know, in the late '60s and early '70s, there were a plethora of amazing original bands, including Purple and Zeppelin and Yes and Genesis and Crimson and ELP and The Move, you know, and it's just incredible, really, that they were all so completely individual, those bands.
Yeah.
And I think in the actual '69 through to '72, I don't think the term progressive rock existed.
No, it just was, wasn't it?
It came to be known as progressive rock, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the same with a lot of music. If you look at sort of some things that were classed as heavy metal in the 80s,
Yeah.
it's now really seen as hair metal or rock
Yeah.
or classic rock. It's not metal anymore
Yeah,
because
it's
metal's
been
got stronger,
relabeled.
harder.
Yeah.
So it's
Because
funny.
they were all.
Oh, Max has suddenly disappeared on me. Okay, well, we'll find something else to play. And hopefully we can get him back. If not, I've got loads of videos to play. It's all good. We'll do something. So here we have henceforth the tape. Oh, I think he might be back. Are you back, sir?
Yeah, I found you.
There he is.
I refreshed, and it came back.
Awesome. I was just about to play a track, but it's cool. We'll carry on having a chat for a minute now. You're back. The genres have kind of redefined themselves over the years, I think.
They have, indeed. Yeah.
So, henceforth, the table, I can't read, shall be round. Now, this sounds a bit King Arthurish to me.
It is exactly King Arthurish, yeah. Exactly King Arthurish.
I know.
I mean, it's from an album. It's from an album called Artorius, and it was a band actually we put together between myself, Galinda, my wife, who also plays keyboards and recorders and sings, and two people from a band called Morrigan, and the Morrigan are like a medieval progressive rock band.
Cool.
Based in Salisbury. So Colin Masson and Kathy Alexander from the Morrigan joined me and Galinda, and we formed this project called Artorius. It's a really funny story. Every year I used to provide a PA for some historical battle reenactors in Cornwall. And it was in Tintagel, and they always reenacted the Battle of Camlan.
Okay.
Between Arthur and Mordred. And we launched the album in the beer tent one evening, and it wasn't a public performance, it was for all the reenactors. So we sort of launched the project to all these. It was really good.
So when you say these
one of the
Morrigan
warriors lent Galinda a sword.
Oh, were you scared?
Well, no, I was quite a long way away, so it was all right. There was someone else in between, you know.
Lucky it wasn't a bow and arrow.
Kathy was in between me. It was, yeah.
So I mean, when you say medieval,
so we thought we couldn't find anywhere written down about why there was a round table in King Arthur's court.
Right.
So we made our own story up. Basically.
I think it was an addition from the 16th century romanticised version of King Arthur. because obviously the legend's been around a lot more since that. I think there was a French version that's become the popular myth of Camelot with the Round Table. And,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's kind of
Well, this is a different theory to that.
Okay. Should we have a listen?
It's all about. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Let's have a listen, and then I'll tell you if I agree with your theory or not.
Days of the new king, there was discord, misery and war. Lords and princes fought each other in the kingdom of tooth and claw. So the young king called to council numerous lords, petty princes and all, saying, though you fight each other, ignore at your peril the Saxon call.
Because of your blindness, the kingdom must fall. Hearken unto me, O count amongst my enemies. Our peril comes from oversea.
If I raise the land up, you must answer the call. Arguing who should sit high or low, till the king exasperated said, into the garden you must go. In the cool and empty silence, pondering what was right and fair, he was staring at the table, idly noting that it was square.
All of a sudden the answer was there. Whosoever shall follow me shall do so in equality. My solution shall resound. Henceforth the table shall be round.
This is the story of how it began. Where was discord, now is honor. They live or die at the king's command. So they drove out the invader back into the sea. Albion is free, and they sit at the round table, equal in honor and chivalry. Who can now say what the future shall be?
Very, very nice. Really enjoyed that.
So now you know.
Well, you see, while we were listening to that, I was on the internet doing some research because, you know, I like this show to be educational as well as musical.
Good
and
idea.
I'd like to confirm that you are probably right. Here we have from Encyclopedia Britannica. The round table in Arthurian legend was first mentioned in Waces of Jersey's Roman de Brute in 1155. This told of King Arthur's having a round table made so that none of his barons, when seated at it, could claim precedence over the others. So it was equality, like you say.
Excellent.
There you go. Confirmed.
He was pondering what was right and fair. All of a sudden, he saw the table and noticed it was square.
Yes. Yes, I like the ideas. But your idea of equality that came in there was spot on. There you go, you see?
Yeah.
Are you a fan of Richie Blackmore?
Richard, I'm glad you like... You what?
Are you a fan of Richie Blackmore?
Sorry? I am. Blackmore's Night.
I was going to say, so you like his sort of more medieval stuff that he does?
I do, yeah. Yeah.
So I just wondered.
Indeed.
I actually done some CD work for him when I was designing record suites and stuff
Excellent.
a very long time ago.
Yeah.
So Blackmore's Night. So yeah.
I think he still lives in Germany at the moment. I think.
I don't know what happened
But
to
he
him.
used to tour. No, I mean he was touring for years all around the castles in Germany, and there are so many castles all over the Rhine, the Main, and I mean I think where he lived was near Nuremberg in a place called the Fränkische Schweiz, which is the Franken Switzerland, if you know what I mean. That's the Fränkische Schweiz, and I think he lived in a castle there. That's what he used to say, that he had a castle in the Fränkische Schweiz. And he was every year touring with Blackmore's Night around all the German castles. Really good business for him, you know. So
Wow.
they're all used they're all used for performances in the summer. All the castle courtyards are set up with seats and stages and things. You know, it's really good. So,
I love a good castle. Just before the pandemic, we managed to get it in without realising this was all going down. We ended up at Warwick Castle for a weekend, and we stayed there and the lodges and beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Love it, all of that. So yes, hitting my buttons tonight, young man. My favourite classical pieces, a bit of medieval stuff. We're good. I'm loving this.
I'm glad to hear that. It's good. Yeah. And so So that was in 2007. We did the Artorias album. We only ever did 3 live shows, but we're hoping once the pandemic's over that Kathy and Colin might be able to come over here and we can revive it.
Wow, that'd be interesting.
Like
well, keep us in contact about that.
It would go down. We think it would go down very well here, you know. So yeah,
I can see why. When you've got a whole host of castles you can go and play at as well. Wouldn't that be wicked?
It would.
Actually playing at a castle,
absolutely.
That'd be fantastic. So let's talk about Chain Letter.
Right, so Danica Trim is a singer-songwriter, poet, and piano player that I've known for, since around, I don't know when I started. I think it was about 2005 or 6, maybe. She started having piano lessons with me.
Right.
And but she's a very creative songwriter. She's got lots of sort of interesting influences. She likes sort of Kate Bush, Fleetwood Mac, Syd Barrett. She's quite a fan of Syd Barrett. All About Eve, Tori Amos, even Madonna. You know, a sort of in her sphere of influence.
Yeah.
And so we started recording, and the way we did it was that Danica came up with, I think we started work on the actual albums, because there were 2 albums I did. I'm trying to, I think I've got it written down somewhere where we started. It was around about 2009 or 2010 when we started on the first music together.
Right.
And what happened, Danica would basically come up with a song which included a melody and lyrics. So she would come to me and just sing the song, no accompaniment, rhythm, or anything. I mean, she'd have her own rhythm in the lyrics, you know, that she was singing. So yeah, what we did is recorded it to a metronome, and then I built the music up all around her. So a completely different way of working to what I'm used to. It was really
Slightly
interesting,
backward,
you know, so.
really.
Yeah. Well, backward in one way, but you know, the absolute origin of many songs are lyrics and melodies. You know, so it's interesting. But yeah.
But definitely from a recording and production point of view, we normally do that the other way around, don't we? You know, the vocal is always the last thing to go
absolutely.
around. So.
But yeah, I mean, we always, you know, all the tracks we re-recorded the vocals, you know, eventually.
Right.
Once and sometimes we made slight timing changes and things as well as we went along, you know. But it was just a very interesting way of working.
Yeah.
And a thing that was nice for me is that Danica was coming up with interesting melodies that maybe were in different modes to straightforward major and minor, you know.
Yeah.
Some were in a Lydian mode, some were in the Dorian mode, you know, and it just sounded more interesting and nicer, you know, than doing it from a chordal basis. So it was more, I suppose you could say, more contrapuntal, you know, like it all started with the melody and everything was put around that.
I suppose you've got more freedom when you haven't got the restriction of a chord structure or a rhythm to work to.
No, that's right.
Okay.
But overall, the whole thing is much more, well, I think quite a bit more commercial sounding and not as prog as anything I've done before, which is nice, you know.
Let's have a listen.
It's more accessible.
I've got the video sort of flashing up in the background here as well as I'm watching that as well. So let's all watch it together rather than just me watch it. Here we go.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Do you love me? Do you wanna work things out? If you really want to try, tell me there's a reason why you can't sleep tonight. I don't know why it seems so hard. You always seem to like the dark. You said it made you dream. Inside, if you wanna know me inside out, tell me this and don't be proud. Do you really have a heart? Send me all the way you feel. Make it true, it must be real. Don't spin me your lines. I'm laying this upon you just when you don't expect. Because I wanna know what's going on inside your head. Are you happy? Do you wanna share it out? Are you lonely? Do you wanna join a crowd? Got a great big letter waiting to be signed. Are you lonely? Don't get left behind. If you wanna be a leading light, add your face to the race and come outside. You're never out of line. Wait for the sun to catch us up. Seal how we feel, send on the love. Gotta be a good sign. Do you love me? Do you wanna reach inside? I got a great big letter waiting to be signed. Give me
Danica Trim there with Chain Letter. That is a very accessible song, if that makes sense.
It's very accessible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
definitely got a little bit of a Fleetwood 80s Fleetwood Mac vibe about it, hasn't it?
I was going to say,
you know,
yeah, definitely sort of 80s
Yeah.
Fleetwood Mac, and who was that girl from Neighbours that done a lot of that sort of acoustic-y pop rock stuff? I can't remember her name. She had quite a good voice, but Danica's got a very good voice. She's-
Yeah. Very accessible. And that's one thing I think about writing completely vocally. You've got very, very accessible melodies. Because it has to be good and melodic if you only write melodies, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to get that hook in on that chorus, and that lift she goes into that chorus there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's classic good songwriting, and you know,
I
it's
think
good.
so.
It's
Yeah.
a really strong song. Yeah, like that a lot.
I think that's the opening track of the first album we did, called Chasing Life. It's really good. We're still in touch. You know, I do internet tuition now, piano and keyboard tuition, and she's still having lessons online with me, which is great.
Oh, fantastic!
And we might yet do some more. Well, I think we might work a little bit more collaboratively together if we do anything more again. You know, so.
Yeah, she's definitely got some skills and some talent there, especially if she's written that song all off the melody and just the vocal. That's fantastic. So let's talk Brightbird. This is also a Danica Trim track.
It is, yeah. So this is from the second album, and it took us 3 years actually to. I mean, Danica was writing and recording while we were doing this album, whereas the Chasing Life album, which is where Chain Letter's from, I think Danica had almost everything written before we started work on it. So anyway, it was interesting because we were still working on it, and when at the time when it became known, you know, that we were going to be leave it to a different country. So that certainly hastened the production work somewhat, you know, because we were still working on it in late 2017, and it was late 2017 that we decided we'd be moving to Germany the following spring. That was the plan, you know. So it was definitely sort of focused our minds and speeded up the production, because I think three years is a little bit too long to take producing an album.
I think any project like that, you need to set yourself some sort of end point, because if you don't, it's just too easy to touch that bit up and touch this bit up and go back and do that, and sometimes it becomes over polished.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, should we have a look at this then?
Yeah, good. So this is from an album called Belongings, which was released in 2018.
Awesome. Let's have a look.
I know you float in all directions, and you give me cause to try, although I cannot be here every day to see where you will hide. It's not only affectation, and it doesn't seem to hide, though it gives me indecision, 'cause I don't see where you fly.
And a bit of bird noise there. Was that filmed in your... Was that recorded in your garden, that bird noise?
Well, I was just looking up at my window, which is open. I forgot there were birds at the end. And then I thought, I haven't heard any nightingales here.
But you're regularly putting out nice pictures of trees and birds and bits and pieces on your Facebook. It looks lovely where you are.
I know. It's beautiful here. Yeah, we're very lucky here. Yeah.
Again, another really accessible track. That good luck to Denise
it is,
yourself with this. Is it? You've got it out there.
Thank you.
On Bandcamp.
Yeah. We find that's such a good platform. You can build up followers on Bandcamp. It's a little bit like social media, but you can share it on Facebook and Twitter and stuff. I mean, nowadays, it's interesting. Last week, Nick was talking about Spotify and iTunes and streaming and Bandcamp, and his new album's on Bandcamp, isn't it?
Yes.
A few albums I've been involved with recently have been on Bandcamp and available on Apple Music. Well, iTunes is Apple Music now, isn't it? I think.
Yes.
And Spotify. Yeah. And we were just finding absolutely, we were getting maybe thousands of streams, and getting nothing, and absolutely no sales whatsoever on Bandcamp. And we worked out, I mean, there are lots of things that have been going around on social media, about how bad off independent artists are with streaming. But, a simple way to look at it is that on Bandcamp you can sell, for example, a track from an album for £1, and that person that buys the track can also stream it forever, basically, just logging into their Bandcamp account, so they can get, and you can do that on any device, but you earn £1 for selling that track. On any of the other online streaming services, well, I mean, it's just a lot worse. But the worst example, if you like, is Spotify. And to earn £1 on Spotify, I think you have to have 489 streams.
Yeah.
So it's just a non-brainer. I mean, I know several other independent artists that will only put stuff out on Bandcamp now, because you can contact your fans directly. I should be working in advertising for them, really, because
it's a platform
just such.
I've not looked into that much. I have seen it. I've been on it. Never one I've used, but I'm going to look at it.
Well, you can build up a following by sharing it on social media and Twitter and what have you, and it's good. And you can set free streams of album tracks for, I think the minimum amount is 3 free streams, and then if they want to listen to it anymore, they have to buy. And you can buy digital tracks, download them, and you can sell merchandise through it as well. So,
well, I'll be looking into that.
I mean,
I'll be
the two new albums. Yeah, the 2 new albums I've done this year, or that I finished this year, we've only put out on Bandcamp, and we've had so much interest generated. It's great,
So these 2 new albums, is this Fragile and the Bailey and Hunt album?
That's right. Yeah.
Because we got both of them lined up, funnily enough.
We have. Yeah.
Nice segue there, Max. That was good.
Very good. Yeah.
So
well done, Ian.
Let's talk Fragile, Blessed by the Sun. Hey, you and I and...
Right. So, well, I have to explain this, really, because Fragile is and was a Yes tribute band.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the Yes tribute band, founded in '98. I joined them in 2001. We've had quite a few different lineups. And in the last 5-6 years, we've had Claire Hamill on lead vocals. Now, Claire Hamill has got the distinction of being the first British female singer-songwriter to get a mainstream record deal.
Wow.
She was signed to Island Records in I think it was 79. She was signed to Island.
Wow. Oh. You still with me, Max? I think we've lost him. Germany, this is England calling. No, is he back?
Oh yeah, we're back.
He's back.
We're back. Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. So it's great. And we're still a Yes tribute band, and that's hence the titles, basically. I'm afraid. Yeah, but we do our own music, our own original music now. Yeah. And we try to do it a little bit in the style of Yes. And
Which
we're
makes
not
sense.
performing now, we're just recording. Yeah, yeah. So it's great. And the thing is, Claire actually, she worked with Steve Howe. She sang on the Steve Howe album, which was his second solo album that was in 1979 as well, I think. Oh yeah, her first deal with Island, that was 71 or 72, I think. So it was a lot earlier, that one. She worked with Steve Howe later in the 60s. John Vangelis, she did backing vocals on I think there's a song on Friends of Mr. Cairo called Wanna Go Back to School.
Right.
And she did backing vocals on that with John Vangelis. She was in Wishbone Ash throughout most of the 80s, co-wrote several of the songs on their 80s albums and toured with them.
Wow.
And but she's had a very sort of prolific solo career as well. She was actually one of the first artists to ever use sampling.
Right.
And it was before Peter Gabriel or Kate Bush started using Fairlights. She did an album called, I can't remember, something. I'm really terrible with remembering titles of things.
I'm the same.
Summer is in the title. Summer is the title, but Love in the Summer or something like that. Sorry, it's really bad, but it's great because she sampled her voice and just multi-layered her voice on it. It was absolutely great. So,
wow.
Yeah. So she's singing with us on this track, and this is
got
our
a
new
Fairlight?
album that was. No, well, you don't need Fairlights anymore, do you? Really, you can make. What you have to do nowadays is sample something on your DAW, or I've got a called Kronos over here that I can sample things on, and then thin down the sample to make it sound like a Fairlight. You know, you can do that. So you just thin down the frequency band of the sample, and then you've got Fairlight.
You're not a collector, though. You don't like these sort of old traditional synths and stuff.
No, I did. I used to. I had a Moog Prodigy, Rhodes piano, Yamaha organ, but it was a good Yamaha organ. LP synth, Korg MS-20, SH-101, all sorts of things I've had in the past. But nowadays, I just use the easy digital modelling, really good, stable, in tune, reliable keyboards. So.
Sounds like a plan. Right, let's have a look at this. This is Blessed by the Sun.
Dark the sun, after the rain, when hope is gone, light comes again, blessed by the sun, blessed by the sun. Blessed by the sun.
There we go. Fantastic. So that's Blessed by the
Bit more
Sun.
prog.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
do you know what? When I initially heard the start of that song, it reminded me a bit of White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I don't know
interesting,
why.
yeah.
I think it might be the cadence on her voice and the tone on her voice. Very similar to Grace Slick. Which is a compliment, obviously.
Yeah. It's it. Oh, she's got such a lovely voice. Very original and expressive. It's really good. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
it's good.
the track builds really, really nicely. I mean, yeah, it is a lot more prog than I would generally go to. But again, it's, you know, I like the way it moves. I like the way it advances, and it's sort of the crescendo towards the end. It's some great playing.
It's in two very obvious.
With the guitar, Max. He's got it there.
Oh, somewhere. Here it is.
Fantastic. Does that come out to play often these days? Or?
Do you know, I think I'm going to have to use it on the jam sessions on Fridays. On Friday.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to, because we haven't got, you know, proper power, and it's battery powered. So all we need is like a battery powered PA system or amp or something, and we'll be able to do it. You know.
Nice.
So,
there you go. Bring back the keytar. There's not enough keytar in stuff these days.
No, I know. I bought that one. It's really interesting. I bought it off of the guy that runs Swanage Blues Festival, Steve Darrington. Now, Steve Darrington has suffered since childhood from polio.
Ah.
And he actually went to the same school in London as Ian Dury, funnily enough.
Right.
Steve Darrington. But he became a very prolific touring session keyboard player, Steve Darrington. Worked with many, many really good people. And for some reason, he bought a keytar. Well, I just could never figure it out why he bought a keytar, because he can barely stand, let alone walk, you know. So, and they're definitely mobile instruments, you know. So he put it up for sale, and while I was down there playing with a band, it's a really good festival, the Swanage Blues Festival. But I saw he had it for sale and managed to get it from him. So
nice, bit of history there then.
Cool.
And
Yeah.
talk about a bit of
that
history.
album.
Go on,
Yeah, oh, it probably has. Probably has. That album, which the album's called Golden Fragments, and our bass player Martin, who's a lovely guy, and he's a very long-term sort of friend of mine, but he left the band shortly before production work was finished on the album.
Oh.
And withdrew his permission for any of his bass to be used on the album. So I recorded all the bass on the album. So all the bass on that Fragile track is me, and keyboards and bass, basically. But
with a real bass or with the keys?
With a real bass.
Cool.
Bass.
No, so,
I've got a cheap €120 Chinese Rickenbacker copy. And it's amazing. It's got one sound. It's like and it sounds like a Rickenbacker, but it's the only sound it's got. You can't do anything else with it at all.
but it works.
So that was cool. But I mean, I'm not really a live bass player, but I was doing sort of like 8 or 16 bar sections at a time, you know, working out.
Yeah.
And it had to be a little bit different to what Martin had played, you know. It's quite interesting. So
do you play other instruments besides keys? Are you a guitarist or anything else?
Yeah, well, I play guitar, but to quite a limited extent, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I can do sort of finger picking. I find really easy because I think that's from the piano. You know, I can do the finger picking. But I find plectrums really difficult on guitar.
That's because you've got to hold your fingers still, you see.
Probably. Yeah.
So, next video, or the last video we got tonight is This a Dream? And this is from your new project, Bailey Hunt. And this is with an original member of Yes.
Sort of.
Sort of.
I'll try and tell you the quick story. So in 1966, which was the year I was born, Clive and Bob Hager, who's a drummer, formed a band called Mabel Greer's Toy Shop.
Right.
The bass player was Chris Squire.
Right.
Yes. So they played the Speakeasy Club and the UFO Club and all those clubs in London in the late 60s. And then I think Bob, the drummer, left in late 68 and Bill Bruford joined on drums. Then they got John Anderson in on... Oh, and Peter Banks was the guitarist as well, the lead guitarist, who was the original guitarist of Yes. So they changed their name in I think it was November 68. They changed their name to Yes.
Right.
But it's great. I mean, in 2014, I got contacted by a guy called Dave Watkins, he's one of these guys that he's a biographer of Yes. He's a fan of Yes music and has written a book about the history of Yes,
Right, okay.
Had it published. So he contacted me and said, look, I've been in touch with these two guys who are the founder members of Mabel Greer's Toy Shop. And they're looking for a keyboard player. Would you be up for it? Sort of thing, So it was really interesting. And the funny thing is, they were both living in the south of France at the time. So I went over and did an audition with them in Nice, in a club in Nice. And good. So we did an album called The Secret. And it was interesting because The Secret actually featured some guitar solos from the original Yes guitarist, Peter Banks.
Right.
Who has, is no more. He died a few years ago, basically. And we got permission from the executors of his estate to use some of his lead guitar work, basically as long as we credited him for the royalties, as a writer.
Yeah.
Of the track. So it was great. We did a track with loads of crazy, wild sort of lead guitar, and we wrote the music around guitar solo.
Wow, that's amazing. A bit. You like working backwards, don't you? Oh, I think we've lost Max again. It's this whole talking across seas, ladies and gentlemen. The internet's not playing heavy tonight. I said, what? He's trying to reconnect now, so we'll see if he can get back to us. If not, here he is. Is he back?
Yeah, I don't like it.
No, it's the internet. I don't like it either.
I don't like the internet, and I don't like working backwards either. But sometimes you just have to. Yeah.
Right,
anyway, this is not Mabel Greer's Toy Shop. It's me and Clive. Yeah, we've done an album together.
And this is again available now?
Yeah, this is available on Bandcamp. Bailey and Hunt, or baileyhunt.bandcamp.com, this is.
Okay, let's have a
and I'll give you a warning.
Oh.
I've got to give you a warning. This track goes on a bit.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean yet?
Put your feet up.
You'll find out.
Put your feet up and sit back and relax. We'll have a listen. See you in a minute. Or 10.
Sitting in a dark room, listening to the things you have to say. Looking at your face, seeing that your smile has gone away. it a dream, or is it real? But taking us back to the time, to the time we had to steal. Wondering what you said to me, thinking it through most of the time, wondering all the things you said. Christ, it will send you blind. Christ, it will send you blind. We're out of time, won't you make it real? Like you mean it, and make it real. And don't waste my time. Don't waste my time. The man will be a crime. What a sin.
Do you know what? I really enjoyed that. That's a great track, and it does go on and on and on and on and on.
It does go on and on.
If you gave that to Morrissey, I reckon that'd be a hit.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know what I mean? It's
But
got
I
that
think-
real Morrissey edge to it on the vocal. That if you put a name
yeah.
like Morrissey up against it, it'd
But
sell
I
it.
think Morrissey copied like Caravan, Mabel Greer's Toy Shop, Pink Floyd, Syd Barrett. You know, it's
Some of the early years, yeah, definitely.
that's it. Yeah,
But
Yeah,
yeah,
it
definitely
is
that sort of
similar.
vibe to it.
it is. Yeah. And it goes into like a psychedelic 12-bar at the end. I really
Yes.
like that. A psychedelic 12-bar. You know, it's psychedelic blues.
Yeah, it's just maybe you're inventing new genres now, Max.
I hope so, and that's one thing I really like about working with Clive is that I think it's sometimes quite sort of obvious that he last did music in the 60s, in the late 60s, but he's always got an ambition to push boundaries and go further, you know. So
Interesting comment from
Yeah.
Rich in the chat. He says, I don't mean this to sound flippant or to offend anyone, but I like the simplistic lyrics which set off the music and complements the complexity of the music.
yeah, I can see. Well, it's a good comment. Very good comment. Yeah.
Lyrics don't always have to be wordy. They don't always
They don't.
have to have a massive meaning.
Yeah.
Is it the band Manson? The lyrics don't have to mean that much. They're just a vehicle for a melody.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
I
it's,
like.
Clive's got an interesting history because in the 70s he lived in Tehran, which is now Iran, but was at that time Persia. And that was before the Islamic Revolution. And he befriended several Sufi poets and learnt quite a lot about Sufi culture. Now, Sufism is a sort of subculture in Iran. And I think it's allowed to continue, but they've got amazing poetry, which is very sort of emotive poetry, simple and emotive, but all about sort of existence and love and things, you know.
Yeah.
And Clive's really into that. I think he had a lot of, I think he lived there for 10 years or more. And I'm sure it's rubbed off it's rubbed off on him, you know, the culture. It's really interesting.
I think, you know, in many ways, songwriters try to give a simple message in too many words. There's different ways of songwriting with lyrics. You can write something a bit more story-based, which relies on that. But sometimes you just want to get that message across. Don't procrastinate. Say what you want to say and keep it simple. It works.
Yeah, right. Yeah, or try and make a picture. A few simple words to make a picture to convey a feeling, sort of thing, you know.
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of where I work with hooks. You know, if I want to write a good song, a hook on a chorus, it starts with a simple phrase.
Right. Yeah.
Talking about that, I mean, you know, I'd just like to sort of welcome you into the Frequency Hall of Fame because you kindly agreed to put some piano down on a brand new Frequency track.
I'm looking forward to that. That's good. Yeah. That's an older band of yours, is that right?
This is a band I was in 20 years ago. We released the album in 2004. Right. And it's taken a global pandemic to get us all back doing stuff now. Because the technology is better, we can record from home and we can work together over the internet. And we're looking forward to it. It's just it's a vanity project, but, you know, why not when we've got a bit of time on our hands, you know?
Nice one. Good.
So, welcome to that as well. So, look, Max, thank you very much for joining us.
That's great,
anything
Ian. Thank
else you want to say to anyone?
You what, sorry?
Anything you want to sort of finalise with? Anything you want to tell people where to go, what you're doing in the future, what to look out for?
I mean, one thing I would really appreciate if people would actually visit the Bandcamp sites of my music, you know, and one that you could start from is maxhuntmusic.bandcamp. That would be a good one. But I wish everyone well. It's a really difficult situation for everyone in different ways, completely. But I hope it's sort of getting better. And, you know, for me, as you know, I've had what we call in German, we call a Berufsverbot, which is an occupation ban.
Yeah.
That's one way of looking at it, isn't it? You know,
it is.
It's a little bit, but you know, other people have had this, worse or the same problems. It's terrible. You know, this. I just hope we all get out of it. I hope the music scene in the UK and Germany gets rejuvenated. I really think there are going to be people desperate to go to gigs.
There are.
I don't think I think that'll override the fear. I think that'll override the fear, the desperate for go to live.
Interesting fact. As I said, we've been looking at doing something over here because I know you're playing at the weekend. But we've been looking to do something over here. I put a poll on Facebook, sort of saying if we were to put an outdoor gig on under the current guidelines during this pandemic, would you be prepared to come? Last time I checked, we had something like 47 or 48 yeses.
I think I'm one of them.
Don't knows. Hey, 7 or 8 don't knows, and about 5 or 6 knows. So
that's good to know. It's good to know.
People are interested, and obviously full respect to those who aren't. No one's going to pressure you into coming out or do anything. But we've all got to we've all got to do what we feel is right at the moment. And I know
that's right.
I need to play, Max.
Yeah, we need to. Oh God, yeah. Well, streaming is tricky, isn't it? Because you don't get the same feedback, do you, from people? It's
a lot of fun, but
it is fun. It is fun.
It's not quite the band roaring behind you, full pelt and letting off steam, because that's it's my gym, it's my jog every morning. On stage, it's the same thing. So I'm sure you're the same, but you're playing the weekend.
Yeah, just two different small things we're doing. There's a duo, which is just going to be piano and acoustic guitar. I've got a cover band here called The Thrill, and we sort of do a lot of old 50s, 60s, and 70s sort of rock and blues and stuff. So we're going to do a duo thing on Saturday, and that's an open air beer garden.
Nice.
So what we'll have to do is wear masks if we want to go indoors, but outdoors we don't have to wear masks, which is good. But we're supposed to try and social distance, and that's a couple of weeks ago we had to wear masks everywhere basically. So that's they've calmed it down a bit basically.
A step in the right direction.
Yeah. It is, yeah. And then Friday, I think we're being paid by the town council of a town called Heidenheim to do a couple of street performances.
Again, I'm going to say that's an excellent initiative by your town for paying the local musicians to get together and bring a bit of entertainment.
It is.
Give you a job, give you something to do. I think it's a lovely initiative.
It is, and a really nice thing is that they've only offered it to the professional musicians in the town, and that doesn't mean to belittle non-professional musicians, but they're the musicians that need to be gigging now and earning some money. That's the
totally. Would you do me a favour, because my German's no good at all? Have a quick chat with your mayor and ask him to send a letter to Boris. No, I'm not going there.
Yeah, maybe that's the thing. Contact your local council. Maybe that's what you need to do.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Say, look, we're the lifeblood of your local community. We've got to be out there doing something. Can you help us fund something or organise something?
We're going to have to go and talk to councils about all of this.
Yeah, but they might be more helpful. They might be more supportive of their local communities.
I did speak to mine. The problem they had is that they had the same guidelines that I could find, and they were sketchy.
Yeah.
So look, Max. Let's not. I'm going to start getting political, and we both agreed we weren't going to do that.
Right.
We virtual shook on it and everything, man. So thank you for joining me. It's been a lot of fun getting to know you a bit better and getting to know your music. Again, thanks for joining us on.
No, I've really enjoyed it. It's good, and it's really nice that we've got people commenting and seeing what we're doing. That's a good thing.
It is. Then Radio FreakJam's been an absolute boon for doing things like this over this time. So please remember, we've got Jam Night on a Thursdays. This week we've got Sean Harding in the co-host chair, and we're going to do a quiz for him because he gigs on a Saturday night and can't make the quiz night. So we're going to give him his own individual quiz on the FreakJam Jam Night on Thursday, and we've got the quiz night on Saturdays as well. That starts at 8:00. I do believe Josh is quizmaster this week. I won't be there. I'm broadcasting for someone else. But that's fine. The first one I've missed in about 14 weeks. So and I haven't won one yet, so I won't be missed. It's fine. But again, thanks for joining us. Again, as Max said, everyone in the chat room. That's Rich, and who else we got in there? We've had Tim in there. Let me scroll through this. Di. Steve Jones, and anyone else who was listening who was too afraid to jump in the chat and say hi. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to play out with Splendid Isolation, Max. It makes sense. It brings it to a nice complete you and I together
It's
in
great.
bits and pieces.
Everyone I played it to here loves it. Absolutely
Awesome.
loves it. They think it should be a hit for us.
We all think that, but it doesn't seem to go that way these days. We'll see you soon. We'll play out with Splendid Isolation. If you want to stick around for a quick chat afterwards, Max, do so. And we'll see you later.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Take care, guys.
Hi everybody, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce this version of Splendid Isolation by Radio FreakJam. Enjoy.
Here in my room, in splendid isolation, alone in the gloom, in splendid